new day is dawning over northwestern Nevada. There is little time to rest in the slumbering hills. Work begins again. It is a day much like another day, back when the West was wild with excitement over the prospect of striking it rich. That was a time when miners would rise with the sun in search of gold. Today, there is a new gold rush in the West. The Sleeper Mine is awakening the spirit of many modern-day pioneers. The Sleeper belies its name, with drilling, mining, and processing taking place 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The Sleeper Mine is located in Nevada, in a mining district 28 miles northwest of Winnemucca. The mine is owned and operated by AMAX Gold, Inc., a company headquartered in Golden, Colorado. The Sleeper Mine is a success story. It is one of the lowest cost producers in the world.
Well, for our high grade, I don't know of any other mine that has a high grade vein such as Sleeper. For instance, in this pit we're standing in, we have had benches, and a bench is 20 foot high, where we will take across the bottom of this pit 60,000 ounces of gold out of one bench. That's very exceptional for an ore body.
Air and surface reconnaissance began in the slumbering hills in 1982. That led to the discovery of several promising areas, the most hopeful being the Sleeper prospect. Deposits were staked in the area. Drilling began and continued for 2 years. Then in July of 1984, an AMAX Gold geologist made a golden discovery. On the 34th drill hole, the Bonanza Zone was found with an average of nearly an ounce of gold per ton of ore. AMAX Inc. reviewed the drilling results and gave approval to proceed with the project. Construction was completed in record time. Only 101 days elapsed between the first concrete pour to the first feed into the mill. The total capital investment was $27 million. It was repaid in just 6 months. In 1987, AMAX Gold Inc. was born, with the largest single public offering of a gold company in the history of the New York Stock Exchange. The Sleeper ore body is nestled in a valley that was once a prehistoric lake. The lake deposited sand and gravel over the entire mineralized zone. Layers of deposition, millions of years old, created a unique geological situation.
I've been surprised in some instances how much gold was in the high-grade veins at a particular location. And for example, the section of the vein where this material came from, in a 200-foot vertical distance and a 200-foot horizontal distance, we took out about 500,000 ounces of gold between 1986 and now. So there can be a tremendous amount of gold in a small volume of rock. And that's another thing that makes Sleeper somewhat unique.
The Sleeper ore body is full of many eye-opening surprises. It is made up of at least 5 high-grade veins, along with a spider web of smaller veinlets. The principal vein mined in the Sleeper pit is called the Sleeper Main Vein. Another high-grade vein is in the Office Pit. Appropriately named, this vein runs below the Sleeper Business Office, which is likely to be moved to take advantage of the Office Pit's promise. Drilling continues at Sleeper. Exploration suggests the vein system continues at depth. The mining process begins with the layout and drilling of blast hole patterns. Material from the drill hole is sent to the mine's assay lab, where it is analyzed for gold and silver grade. Assaying shows the location of the vein system. It offers clues as to what's under the Earth's surface. After the blast hole patterns have been drilled, loaded with explosives, and wired, the mine is cleared and the countdown begins.
Fire in a hole, fire in a hole, fire in a hole. Radio silence is switch on. Radio silence is withdrawn.
Blasting usually occurs twice a day. The blast loosens the material and allows front-end loaders to pick up the ore, place it on haul trucks, which transport the material out of the pit for processing. Geologists and mine engineers know from the assay if the material is gold-rich ore, which goes to the mill for processing, heap leach material, which contains smaller amounts of gold that can still be recovered, or overburden material, which must be moved to mine the ore.
Mining is a very simple process. You're breaking up the rock, you're organizing it into several different piles, and you're moving it out of the pit in that organized manner to someplace that does you good.
Once the material is identified and separated, it goes through the crusher. The huge crushers break the rocks apart and crush them down. Once the material is sufficiently reduced in size, it's transported to the fine ore storage bins to await milling. From the fine ore storage bins, the material is ground, screened, and reduced to a fine sand-like substance. Because the Sleeper contains high-grade coarse gold, visible gold can be recovered by gravity separation techniques. This is the modern-day version of panning for gold.
The first method in which we recover the gold is a method similar to the old prospectors using a gold pan, in which you are using the high density or the high weight of the gold to separate it from the waste material. And the way we do it nowadays is in our mill, we run the ground up slurry through the spirals, and that will separate the higher grade material from the lower grade based on weight. It then is concentrated in 2 more steps on shaking tables.
The concentrates recovered here are dried, melted, and refined. Material not recovered in the gravity circuit flows back into the grinding circuit. When the material is fine enough, the slurry goes into a thickener tank and then through a series of leach tanks where the precious metals are dissolved. The gold and silver then attaches to activated carbon. The fully loaded carbon is transferred to the carbon stripping circuit where the gold is removed with a cyanide solution. The carbon stripping produces what is known as a pregnant solution. In the refinery, gold is removed from the pregnant solution by introducing electrical voltage across the cells. This plates the gold and silver on steel wool. The precious metals are then melted, impurities removed, and poured into doré bars. Doré consists of gold and silver poured into a mold to form a solid bar. The doré bars are shipped to a commercial refinery for further processing. Heap leach ore has a lower gold content than the mill ore described earlier, but there is enough gold content to make it worthwhile to process. The heap leach ore is transported to pads, where it is stacked on an impermeable plastic liner that sits on a compacted bed of clay. A solution containing water and sodium cyanide is sprayed or trickled over the heap leach ore. This solution leaches down through the heap leach material until it runs off as a pregnant solution that is collected in ponds at the base of the pads. The pregnant solution is pumped to the mill where the precious metals are loaded on carbon in a process similar to mill ore. The heap leach pads were designed for both protection of the environment and productivity. The heap leach pads have a series of sophisticated detection systems that sense any leak before it permeates the protective clay layer. In addition, AMAX Gold developed innovative solutions to the challenge of keeping waterfowl and wildlife away from the pregnant heap leach ponds.
The ponds, netting over the ponds you can see behind me is basically for wildlife protection. Any migratory birds or birds flying around that want to land on the ponds, it'll deter them and keep them from getting into the sodium cyanide solution water.
The environment is of great concern to AMAX Gold. Today's miners are making sure nature is protected. Sleeper exists in harmony with its natural surroundings. For example, AMAX Gold engineers have developed innovative techniques for diluting cyanide levels in tailings solution to make it safe for wildlife. At Sleeper, groundwater is pumped from the pit to an area west of the mine. An arid, desert-like region has been transformed into a temporary wetlands used by migrating waterfowl and other wildlife. As a result of the success of the tailings dilution, the state volunteered to work with AMAX Gold to create additional wildlife habitat.
We're in the mining business, we're not in the wildlife habitat business, so we called on their expertise to help come up with solutions. Where they had ideas but not the engineering, we were able to take those ideas and turn them into techniques, engineer it, and apply it on the ground floor. Where it was theory, we turned it into reality. And through this cooperation, it's led to the dilution of the tailings to a non-toxic level, cover of the solution ponds for exclusion of waterfowl and terrestrial animals, and the development of this wetlands.
Nevada Department of Wildlife has been a major factor in recognizing potential environmental problems and solutions to those problems.
It's exciting. It's exciting because I think what we've looked at is an area that is not particularly wildlife rich. It's its own ecosystem, and it does have some important values. But with what we've been able to do in working with AMAX Gold is to develop it even further so it has more potential for a greater number of wildlife species.
AMAX Gold has teamed up with the Nevada Division of Water Resources to fund a study of the Desert Valley Aquifer. The company wants to be certain it's having a positive effect on the environment. AMAX Gold is a responsible player, participating in the legislative and regulatory process to ensure the development of viable, morally responsible laws and regulations that are balanced with reason. AMAX Gold is also a responsible and caring part of the community. The Sleeper mine is one of the leading contributors to the Humboldt County and the Nevada economy, with an annual payroll in the millions. Their lives are directly linked to the community. AMAX Gold recognizes the importance of its role as a corporate citizen in this community. It's a
We take no shortcuts. We want to be a mining company into the year 2000, 2050. And when we have an ore body like this, we can really build for the future.
A new day is dawning in the slumbering hills. The Sleeper mine is awakening with golden opportunities. The gold rush is on, and AMAX pioneers dream a modern-day reality as it becomes a world leader in gold production.